Kalimera, Kalimera, Kalimera. We're in Greece. We're in Greece. No, actually, we're in my kitchen, strangely enough. But I am doing a Greek dish, sort of. It's another one of those make it up as you go along-ish. The fundamentals of the dish are there. It is Stifado. Now, Stifado is the Greek equivalent of our stew, the Greek equivalent of beef bourguignon, the Greek equivalent of Moroccan tagine, Greek equivalent of goulash. We all have that comfort food. And that's what I want to do today, because I've got some beef left to use up. I'm running my stocks down again, so that came out of the freezer this morning. So quick as you like, it's slow cook this, which is great. We can just get on with what we're doing, because we can go out now, can't we, and meet one person in a socially distanced way in an open public area. So I'm going to meet my man somewhere in the park for half an hour. So I'm going to put a frying pan on first. Before we slow cook, there's a couple of things we need to do. The first one is to soften up with a bit. I'm just going to put about a tablespoon or so of veg oil in there, and I've chopped up one onion, white onion, and that's going into the pan just to slightly soften it and get the natural sweetness of the onions to come through. So I don't want to burn it or anything. And that's going to, where's my, oh, here we are. So yeah, that's going to start sizzling up in a second. I have got about 450 grams of diced up stew beef, which I am going to sear in the pan with a bit of flour, a tablespoon of flour or so. That will thicken the casserole, the Stifado up as it cooks. So I'm not using any granules or anything like that. So that's, ooh, that should be doing its own thing in a second. So I'm going to show you the rest of the. Now, a Stifado wouldn't normally have celery in it, but I was cleaning the fridge out and I've got some, and it's still okay, but it needed using. But I think that celery, it vanishes into nothing, but it gives the stock a really great flavour. So I'm sure the Greeks won't object to that. So that's a couple of sticks of celery. Again, if you haven't got any, don't go out, because it's not traditional to do that. I'm just putting that in there, and you can hear this now, so the onions just starting to go translucent. I've got about 3 cloves of garlic. You can use paste or powder, or not at all if you're not a garlic fan, but it would normally be in this dish. And I'm just going to add to the onions now. I'm going to keep my eyes on this, because I don't want the garlic, if it catches and starts to burn, it goes bitter and horrible. So I'm literally just letting it start, and it'll give off its beautiful, beautiful pungent aroma for us, which it is doing now. And then I'm going to pop the garlic and the onion into the slow cook to join the celery. So how are you all doing anyway? I'm fine. You know, it's quite hard, isn't it? It's quite sad. We all want our lives and our loves back, for sure we do. But we're about 2 months down the road now, so we're making inroads, I think. So right, I'm going to put this now before either the onion or the garlic catches, and I'm going to add a little bit more, maybe another tablespoon of oil. This is for the meat, and I'm just going to put, ideally you would do just a few cubes at a time, so that it it sort of sears rather than steams. You know, we just want to get the colour through. But because of the timing of the video, I don't want to keep you too long. But that's, oh, straight on. That's going straight where I need it to be. Browning. I think I'm going to put the rest in at home, just do it in batches. Just so that it gets the optimum out of it, aren't we? Right. So I'm just going to rinse my fingers off. Lovely. So, flour. You can see this is starting to just brown. It's the idea being it sears in the juiciness of the meat, and of course because we're cooking it in a slow cooker over several hours, it should fall apart tender by the time we're finished with that. So I'm just going to sprinkle about a good tablespoon of plain flour onto that. Now into the casserole we've got 1 tin of chopped tomatoes going in, and I'm going to just add half a can of water going in. And I found in my garden some rosemary. I've washed it because we get a lot of cats around, if you get my meaning. And these I'll pull out, I'm leaving them whole, so when we serve it I'll just fish those out. But it gives that beautiful Greek thing. I've got about a tablespoon of tomato puree that's going into the pot. Okay. I've got tomatoes. Fresh tomatoes are not a requirement, but like I said before, I was clearing out the fridge, wanting to use everything up. So those tomatoes are also going in, full of goodness and sunshine. And I'm going to turn my meat through this flour now and pop it in a second. You can see that's going on there. And I have got, what makes a Stifado is cinnamon. This is important to make the authentic flavour. Sometimes people would use a cinnamon stick in and pick that out, but I haven't got any cinnamon sticks, but I do have powder. So I'm going to put a couple of teaspoons full. So it's very Middle Eastern Greekish. Apparently a Stifado actually came from Venice. The Venetians came, the Roman Empire I guess, trundling down to Greece and brought this recipe or something like it with them. So that's the cinnamon in there. Just because I like a bit of heat, don't use any if you're not bothered, but I'm going to put a teaspoonful of chili flakes. I don't think that's authentic either. What is authentic is the cinnamon and the rosemary and oregano. So we're going to put a teaspoon or whatever you fancy in there of that. We're going to salt and pepper. Heavy on the pepper, light on the salt. You can always add more salt at the table. And that, apart from a couple of little things now, so this beef is going into the pot. Now, some recipes call for red wine vinegar in here and some don't. They don't normally call for red wine, but I have got some. It's a bit plonky, but it's okay. And I'm just going to cook a glass, about 200 millilitres of wine. And what happens when I'm just adding it because I love to put wine in sauces. I'm a saucy type of person, if you haven't noticed by now. Pardon the expression. So that with alcohol, once you've brought it up to almost a boil, it takes the the alcoholic element away and leaves the flavour. So that's what I'm doing now with that. Oops, steady, don't be careful. And what I'm going to show you now, I won't come back to do this. I'll come back and show you the final result. But Stifado normally has some shallots put into the dish towards the end of the cooking. So they've got little whole onions, but I couldn't get any. But I've got some tiny onions, so just because I'm going to pop those in about an hour before the end of cooking, because I want them to hopefully stay whole, and if you cook it for obviously a long time, they will disintegrate. It's delicious, but you won't have any whole onion. So that's going to go in later. And also what I'll be doing is keeping an eye on the consistency and adding more liquid if I feel it's necessary, or maybe some more flour if it's not thickening up. And this is smelling gorgeous. Come on. I sometimes think my little hob is on the blink. But I'm not worried, because of course it is going to come up. I'm going to start this off on high, sorry, with 2 temperatures, on high for an hour or so to get everything going, and then I'll be turning it down onto the lower setting and leaving it, and it can stay there all day, and it will be this evening, because we eat our main meals in the evening. So I'm going to unplug that for safety's sake. I'm going to add the red wine. Again, if you don't want the red wine, just use maybe some beef stock, about 200 mils of beef stock, if you fancy that instead. And then I'm going to give it a stir. Nice. I'm going to pitch it up so you can see what it looks like. It's very liquidy at the moment, but that flour should do the thickening, and as I say, I can adjust it as I go, and that's it. Job's done. You would normally eat this with orzo, which is a tiny little pasta, looks like rice, or in our house it will be, no doubt, potatoes. And it's Sunday, so I might even, it's not very Greek this, I might even add a Yorkshire pudding, you know. We'll see. So anyway, have a brilliant day, and I'll show you the finished result in maybe 5 or 6 hours. Bye for now. So yeah, welcome back to the taverna. Oh, I used to love going to the tavernas of an early evening, you know, and sitting there. Anyway, yeah, welcome to the taverna, aka Karen's kitchen, to the Stifado, and it's done. Well, it would be. It's been in the slow cooker for, well, it's 6 o'clock now. It's been in there about 6 hours, and I know it's fine. I'm just having a little yamas. I am. Right, so I've got a nice rustic looking dish to put the Stifado into. And, well, where are my sussy and sweeps when you want them? There. Now you can see, do you remember the onions? The whole onions that I said that I wished I'd got lots of little small shallots, but we didn't have any when I went down the shop. So just to show you, I put a couple of small standard onions in, but they've kept it lovely. So I'm just going to put it in to here now. So it's thickened up beautifully. I also, a tip with your slow cooker, when you keep the lid on, sometimes it doesn't reduce because it sort of traps all the steam in. So for the last half hour, I take the lid off and let it, and it thickens up. And if it doesn't, just sprinkle a bit of flour on and stir it in quickly. But I didn't need to do that this time. So, without further ado, let's. I did live and work in Greece for a year when I was a young woman, which is why I've got a bit of a, you know, bit of a thing for it. So in it goes. I'm going to tip it now because you'll be here all day otherwise. I'm going to tip the rest in. In you go. Oh, it smells. That's cinnamon, honestly. And there's just something about this. There's just something about this that takes you back where you need to be. If you're a glucophile, and I'll just push that to one side. And I'll get my onions to the top so you can see them. Don't need those because that's not hot. There. I guess if you've got a bit of parsley you could sprinkle on there. But I don't think the Greeks, when you go to tavernas, it's very simple and rustic and fantastic. Stifado, folks. Stifado. So, in my oven, I have got roasted beetroot, carrot, and some potatoes, just scrubbed. I didn't peel anything. Chopped up, oil, bit of chilli. I've also got for John some tatties ready to mash. So that's what we're having with it. But there, apart from that, it's all great. It's all. Oh, it's fantastic! Stifado. Right, Stifado. Viewers, thank you. Stay alert, stay safe, keep your distance, and yes,